If it's Friday night at 5 p.m., it's time for DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou, and here we are. John, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Ted.
I really enjoyed part 5 of the Rumble Premium interview that I've been doing with you. Fifth out of 5. It's going to drop very, very shortly, and that was fantastic. If you're not doing Rumble Premium, that would be almost enough reason to do it right there.
Yeah, we had fun. We had fun today. I'm embarrassed that it took me 5 hours to tell the story of my life. But what are you going to do?
Well, I couldn't disagree more. I mean, honestly, I think it probably calls for 6, but we'll leave it right where it ended in such an elegant place, almost like in a movie. I was like, okay, we should just do that. Lots to talk about today. As always, a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, there is an ad. I guess I probably should just go ahead and read that. So here we go right now with the ad. So my apologies for doing this right out of the gate, but this is just how it goes. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now it's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. Oh, did I just not do this right? Oh, yes. Okay, correct. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler, $170 worth of coffee and gear, years for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's really worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone, daddy, gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. All right, got that out of the way. So let's get into it. Please like, follow, and share the show. Thank you very much for your support. We are here on DeProgram every Monday through Friday, every weekday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. on the West Coast. Lots to talk about today, and I didn't even put in Bolsonaro facing 27 years in prison in Brazil. 27 years is kind of a long time. But ICE, I guess everyone probably could have seen this coming. ICE has killed someone. They killed an immigrant they were trying to apprehend in Chicago. We'll talk about that. Obviously, the big story of the day, Tyler Robinson is the 22-year-old suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk. That obviously needs to be discussed at some length. Trump is now targeting Memphis with the National Guard. And California, Governor Gavin Newsom now has to decide whether he's going to sign a bill that passed the Democratic-controlled legislature that would ban the use of masks for ICE agents and any other law enforcement personnel in the state of California. There's some question as to whether or not they would be able to do this in the state of California. So what suits you, John? What would you like to talk about first?
Well, first, I want to thank whomever it is who sent me a box today from Amazon with 2 pounds of coffee and a whole bunch of packs of delicious black licorice. This black licorice, I think I know who it is, so I will thank them privately. Thank you very much. They're 2 of my favorite things in the world. Okay, so I apologize for my pixelation. I am not at home, and so I don't have a decent internet connection, which is going to be like the story of my life the next couple of months. Okay, let's talk about Tyler. What's his name?
Tyler Robinson. Not to be confused with Tyler Nixon.
No, who we love. Tyler Robinson.
Yes, we do.
You know, people over the last couple of days have made pretty compelling arguments that, this could have been a conspiracy of some sort. It could have been a foreign country involved. It looks like it wasn't. It looks like, unfortunately, it was just some kid who had become increasingly obsessed with politics in the wrong way over the last months or year. He apparently either confessed to or intimated to his father that he had done it. He's not cooperating with the authorities, which is really what you want to do. Don't talk to the cops. Period.
There was a report that he confessed, though, isn't there? Or does that mean that he not to the cops? He confessed to
his father. And
to his father.
No, confess. There were different reports. He did to his father or told his father that he had done it, and his father took him to turn himself in. But yeah, like a mantra. Listen, it doesn't matter if we're talking about going through a stop sign without coming to a complete stop or committing capital murder. Don't talk to the cops. Their job is to get you to talk so that you implicate yourself and you get the harshest possible punishment. So don't talk to the cops. Now, with that said, if what this kid did, if what we think this kid did, he actually did, then this is just a terrible thing. I've been yelling all day. This is like my 5th podcast today. I have to stop doing this. But I've been saying violence is never ever the answer to something that you just simply disagree with. If you don't like the way somebody's talking, murdering them is not the answer. I have to say, Ted, you and I have a good friend with whom we used to work. And we're also, I'm also Facebook friends with her. And I have been sickened over the last 2 days to see her Facebook post, to the point where I
know who you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's, what are you talking about? You know, and then one of my housemates, I'm not at my house, so I'm going to speak loudly and freely. I live, as most of you know, I live with an elderly gay couple. They rent 2 rooms in my house. And one of them came up to me yesterday and said how happy he was that Charlie Kirk was dead. Oof. Because Charlie Kirk advocated for the stoning of gays. First of all, he never, ever advocated for the stoning of gays. And secondly, shame on you for wishing death on someone just because you disagree with their politics. I said, you're as bad as these Gen Zers or whatever they are in this generation, who are advocating violence and violence to death because they don't like somebody's politics. Well, he advocated the stoning of gays. So I Googled that and I found the original report. The original report was a tweet. No, it's not true. He never said it. It was a tweet from Stephen King saying, fuck Charlie Kirk. He called for the stoning of gays. And then today, and I'm going to find it. Here it is. Today he tweeted, I apologize. Charlie Kirk never advocated stoning gays to death.
This is exactly like that Mark Twain, the most quotable American ever, who said that a lie goes around the earth, travels around the earth 2 or 3 times before the truth gets up in the morning, and that's a classic example. We have a YouTube follower, Sebastian Escamilla, who says, "Hey John and Ted, huge fan for the last few months, and finally have something to add. As I was 30 feet to the left of Charlie when the shot went off at UVU."
Oh my God!
This is at a moment like this. It would be cool if we could pop him in on the video, but that had to have been horrifying. I mean, I would love to, if Sebastian, if you're up for it, just post, put in a little comment or post.
Please do
whatever you want, really. But
please do, Sebastian. Good Lord, that must have been. Listen, man, you're going to live to be 100. You're never going to forget that.
By the way, I'm okay with what Adam Fighter just posted, right? I do not condone, but I do not mourn. Yeah, you're not required to mourn anyone.
Exactly.
I mean, every day, what is it? 44,000 men and women dead every day as in Don't Fear the Reaper, although apparently he made that number up completely. But, I mean, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people die every day. I don't mourn 99.99999% of them because I don't know them. And so you don't have to mourn anyone. You can think that Charlie Kirk was a deplorable person. You can hate his politics. You can hate him personally. That doesn't mean, and I guess if you approve of political violence, you approve of political violence, but you shouldn't approve of political violence because you don't like someone's opinion. You either approve of it as a tactic, in which means you approve of it when it's used against people you agree with too, or you don't.
Yeah.
I don't, as someone who, could be a target of political violence and has been threatened with it, I disapprove of it very strongly when used against anyone.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Oh man, I have to say, and lots of really good questions today, or not questions, but comments in both of the chats, the Rumble and the YouTube. So keep them coming. And I again apologize for the slowness of my internet connection and my pixelated appearance. Sorry about that.
You have to, from now on, John, you have to travel with your own portable hardwired Ethernet connection.
I think I actually might do that after your recommendation. I'm not either. I bought a 100-foot Ethernet cable, and it's just changed everying. I'm loving it. So Ted,
so good.
Where do we go next? This is not going to be a quick thing. This is going to be, we should probably expect, 8 to 12 months of investigation. Then we start the hearings, and this could go on for years. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like just literally as I was firing up the countdown, the news broke on the wires or on the phone, however you want to put it, that the DOJ is looking into federal charges. Now, John, I was going to ask you this because we didn't talk about it. How is it that why are the FBI involved in an intrastate Utah only crime involving a Utah victim at a Utah setting with a Utah suspect where the suspect did not cross state lines? And why would federal charges be involved except just for political grandstanding purposes? Oh, wait, I answered my own question.
Yeah, there it is. Donald Trump loved Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk turned out the youth vote for Donald Trump. Turning Point USA has brought thousands and thousands of young people into the Republican Party. So they were all friends. But you're right. And because this was like totally domestic, really the only federal crime that he can be charged with is deprivation of civil rights. That's it. Mm-hmm. But if he's going to be sentenced to firing squad, if he's convicted in Utah, then why waste the taxpayers' time and money filing federal charges against him? It doesn't make any sense.
By the way, John, I just sent out my syndicated column right before we went on the air, and I looked up the statistics. I was kind of curious about right-wing versus left-wing oriented political violence, and for whatever it's worth, there was a study that basically purports to count every terrorist plot and act of political violence between 1994 and 2024. Between 1994 and 2020, the stats were that basically about 57% of all political violence originated on the right, and about half of that originated on the left. And then the remainder is just basically, it's political. The victims are political, but the politics are confusing, or the person's just psychotic or whatever. Interestingly, the ADL, and of course, obviously, these days you have to take anything the ADL has to say with a big lump of salt. But that said, the ADL statistics of political violence over the last 4 years literally finds for 4 years in a row 0 acts of political violence or assassination originating by leftists, and all of them from the right. And this is none of this. Obviously, there's been the 2 Israeli embassy staffers were arguably killed by a leftist, right? Probably. But the point is that overwhelmingly, right-wingers do this more than on the left. They just do. And that doesn't mean it's ever okay. Luigi Mangione, I don't think that's a political act, really. I mean, I think it's sort of a political act, but it's not a left versus right act in the same kind of way.
Right.
But my point is, no, it's never okay. But it's weird to me to hear all these right-wingers so angry. It's like, you guys are, what's going on? You guys, we're not going to take it. We're going to fight back. I'm like thinking, okay, first of all, there is no war. There's one guy Okay, one fucking guy. He didn't check in with, the Comintern. He didn't check in with Ted Rall or John Kiriakou and say, hey, do you mind if I kill Charlie Kirk? We would have said, yes, we mind. Don't do it. So there's no conspiracy. There's no war. Okay, so whoever you guys are, I don't know. There's one guy and he's in jail where he belongs. And then there's that. And then if it's a war, you guys are winning. You're kicking our ass. So be happy. I don't know. It's a little frustrating to me. The spin is crazy.
The spin is crazy. I've got this friend from childhood, from like kindergarten. He stayed in our hometown, works on cars, small town life. Good guy, good-hearted guy, irrationally right-wing. And he has just lost his shit over the last couple of days on Facebook about the left. I hate when people do that, because literally nobody's able to define what the left means in the United States, or the right for that matter. And finally, I go out of my way not to challenge people on Facebook, because like the Greek Orthodox bishop follows me. Oh yeah. And 3 bishops and like a dozen priests. And I got to watch what I say. I try not to use the F word on Facebook, because all these like church hierarchs are following me. And so finally I said to this friend of mine today, I think that you're right to be furious over Charlie Kirk's murder, but what you say about the left is just complete and total horseshit. Where were you when Paul Pelosi was attacked? I said, I remember you saying that you had it on good authority and it was going to be on Fox soon, that this was 2 gay lovers who got into a spat and one hit the other with the hammer. And it has been proven this was a homosexual tryst that went wrong. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then when the news was finally released saying that you were full of shit, and OAN was full of shit, and Newsmax too, I don't remember you saying, hey, listen, I was wrong about Paul Pelosi. This was a political attack. Thank God the guy didn't bash his brains in and murder him just because he didn't like Paul Pelosi's wife. So this hypocrisy is just, it's really getting me down. And I shouldn't be surprised by it, but I'm very bothered by it.
Yeah, no, it's stupid. I mean, ideally we would have, we'd have leadership, and not just from the White House, but in the media, that would be able to cool the temperatures and just say, look, we have a problem in our society. We have mental illness is a huge issue here. I wouldn't be at all surprised to find out that there's something wrong with this kid. Although, whatever. I mean, Mormons could be crazy too, right?
Yeah, right.
And then, I don't remember this out. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of, right-wing Fox News outrage over the Republican who killed the Minnesota state representative, right? And her husband.
Speaker and her husband. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. No, they were like, oh, well, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. And there is something, there's a legitimate criticism in Charlie Kirk's position that school shootings and mass shootings were the price that we pay to have a Second Amendment. He said it, he believed it, and then he was felled by a gun. So that's just a fact of life. That I think we can debate. But he advocated the stoning of gays and all this nonsense. I'm just not about.
Yeah, Brian, I'm sorry. The video is probably, I don't know if my half of the video is any better than John's half, but right now John's doesn't have the best internet connection.
This is totally my fault. Yeah. Totally my fault.
Yeah, you can score one of those cables. That's the way to go.
Yes.
If you're there next week at the same place. Yeah. So okay. So basically, the casings were inscribed with references like Bella Ciao, which was an anti-fascist statement from World War II, and gaming illusions, which is interesting because that's not my world, but I'd have to talk to my kid about that. But anyway, the point is, so this is a 22-year-old kid. Of course, guys, are into gaming, especially at that age nowadays. I mean, it seems to me the really interesting thing about his profile is that he's apparently, by all accounts, an excellent student, scored in the top 1% on his standardized testing, high achieving at Utah State University. So he was at Utah State University, and apparently he was ranting about how Charlie Kirk was coming. It pissed him off. And, talk about, here I'm going to agree with the right. The right's been talking about how campuses have been censoring conservative speakers. Well, this is the ultimate example of a student censoring a speaker on campus. I don't know if he was still a student, 22 years old. I don't know if he graduated or if he's a graduate student, maybe. We need more information about that. But, it's just a very, I don't know. It's like whenever I see something like this, I think we've lost two young men, right? In this bullshit.
Oh my gosh, I thought the same thing. Yeah, like what a tragedy this is. And I didn't realize until today that Tyler Robinson's father is in law enforcement. Like how embarrassing, how humiliating. And then when you've got the governor of the state saying, before they've even identified you, we're going to seek the death penalty. And they execute people all the time in Utah. They even have a firing squad in Utah, thanks to Gary Gilmore. I mean, what do you do? Where do you turn? Other than to tell your kid as you're taking him to the cops to have him turn himself in, just tell him, don't say a word. And then hope that maybe at some point you can negotiate a guilty plea for life without parole. I mean, what do you do? I can't.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, it's like, your son is basically gone. His life is over. I mean, we're assuming it's him. I'm assuming it's him.
Yeah, we're assuming it. Yeah.
Any more to say about this before we move on to something else?
People are asking, is a police. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Police, but not real police. The good police. The Greek National Police. See that? Greek police. So it's okay. They're the good police.
Would I feel that way if I were pulled over by them in Greece?
Oh, they say, Kiriakou, sasidas to YouTube, burona buena fotografia. So I say yes, and I sign my autograph, and then they let me go.
Okay, then. All right, now we know. All right, so should we talk about the invasion of Chicago, or the invasion of Memphis?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do Chicago first because this got out of hand right quick. So ICE tried to pull over a guy. I'm not sure why, if he was targeted or if this was a traffic issue or whatever. He took off. The cop grabbed onto the car. He dragged the cop, and apparently the cop is in serious but stable condition, but the other cops just opened fire on this guy and killed him. So it got ugly on day one in Chicago. And as you just said, meanwhile, Trump said he's going to send ICE to Memphis, which is one of the most dangerous cities in America. And he's going to DC Memphis now.
Yeah, the National Guard are going to Memphis. So, John, is it just me, or I feel like I've seen a lot of videos where cops try to grab the car.
Well, what is something like?
A car weighs a minimum of 2,000 pounds, probably more.
It's like, the Yugo weighs 2,000 pounds.
You don't weigh 2,000 pounds, so it's physics that you're going to lose to internal combustion, right? I mean, if the guy tries to take off, follow him. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't.
follow
It
him.
seems like it happens a lot.
Yeah, you get it. So just follow him. Save yourself. Was it really worth it?
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
do
so.
not know. Yeah, I kind of just do not understand that at all. I think we're going to see a lot more of this kind of thing. I mean, you're sending people into. I mean, you're turning, these immigrants into desperados. I mean, why wouldn't the guy try to take off and get away? I mean, what does
Yeah,
he have to
right.
lose?
Right. What do you have to lose? Exactly. Take off.
Mr. Athenian wants to know if you're in Greece.
Oh, I just answered back, not yet, but I'll be in Rhodes in December,
Nice.
which I'm looking forward to very much.
Excellent. Oh, right. I know about this story. GGK says the cops are leaving their fingerprints on the car, but you don't have to grab the car. You just touch the car.
They touch the trunk or they touch the back of the car to leave fingerprints. But this guy grabbed onto it and allowed himself to be dragged, which just doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, I hate to blame the victim, but it was a dumb move.
It was a dumb move. Tom makes a good point here, and I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to raise it yesterday and I forgot. On Fox, I was watching Fox because their coverage would be better of the Charlie Kirk thing than everybody else. I had to change the channel when that awful blonde came on at 9:00, whatever her name is, I forget. But they were doing these, the sad music just before they go to
American Martyr.
Exactly. And so they're doing pictures of Charlie Kirk with his kids and Charlie Kirk smiling and looking off into the distance and Charlie Kirk yucking it up with Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, seriously? This is that little punk who opened fire on, what was it, 3 guys and killed 2 of them or killed 3 of them. I don't remember the details anymore.
Yeah.
And then went on trial and was found not guilty, and briefly, had his 15 minutes of fame thanks to Fox News. But it kind of was an inappropriate picture to use in this montage. Just my thought.
No, obviously I couldn't agree more. So with that, Trump is now finally, look, here's the thing. Every now and then, Trump, like a blind pig, stumbles onto a truffle. And I got to say, this Memphis thing sort of feels like it. So now he's sending the National Guard to Memphis, which really, truly is one of the most dangerous cities in the country, a true hellhole. I'll never forget going to this convention of alternative newspaper editors, and we were staying at this fancy hotel, and one of the editors got he got kidnapped in his own car from right in front of the hotel, and the kidnappers drove him out to the middle of nowhere, beat the crap out of him. He almost died, and this was broad daylight, right in front of the hotel. So Memphis, it needs the help, but as usual, this could really get out of control. Now, in that situation, the governor of Tennessee is a Republican, Bill Lee. He says he's all about it. He likes it. Now he's also Trump.
What he's really saying there,
New Orleans.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
What he's really saying, the hidden message is, I can't control my own state, so somebody please bail me out.
Well, also, there's racial dog whistling here, right? I mean, Memphis is a very black city. New Orleans is a very black city. I definitely see that also even playing domestically inside the state. Like, I'm going to let the Donalds come in and send troops to beat up some black people in that very black city. And, you white voters will approve of that. Yeah.
That's exactly right. I hate to say, but yeah, that's what we're looking at here. But you're right also about New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans needs a cleanup. Why not look at New Orleans?
Well, apparently Trump is now hinting about New Orleans. So that could happen.
Boy,
Memphis, like Houdini says Memphis makes Kabul look like Disney World. Well, especially now. I mean, Kabul's great now in terms of safety.
It is actually.
I can't wait to go back. I'm not even kidding at all.
Oh, I was talking to a documentary filmmaker today. She's going next week. And I said, yeah, I said, Godspeed. I hope it's okay. She said, oh, I was there a couple of months ago. It's fantastic now. And that's, of course, all relative. But yeah, it was way worse when we were, occupying it.
So, yeah. So speaking of ICE, so this is an interesting story, John. So the California State Assembly has overwhelmingly passed legislation that I'm 1,000,000% in favor of, to ban all federal immigration agents and any other law enforcement agency in the state of California from wearing any mask like a balaclava during, at all, and that they have to wear visible badges or name tags so that people can identify who they are and they know that they're not just murderers or kidnappers. The Assembly member Juan Carrillo says it's important to try to prevent secret police tactics and authoritarianism. And I think it also keeps law enforcement officers, including ICE officers, safer. It keeps them safe so that no one can say, well, I didn't know who that was. I shot him because I thought I was being kidnapped.
That's right. This is a good move. I think that the feds are going to make the argument that federal law supersedes state law, and that federal, at least policy, allows them to cover their faces.
Clause.
Yeah, the supremacy clause, and what they have already said, and this was especially out there 2-3 weeks ago, is that is afraid of being not just outed, but what's the word? Where they just put all your information out there, your address, your kids' names, whatever that word is. That's what they're afraid of. They just don't want to be identified. They don't want their families to be threatened or whatever. But if you want to be Joe Tough Guy and crack heads, go to California, crack heads. Well, then take the whole deal.
Totally. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, legally, I just don't know how that's ever going to work, right? I mean, how do you? I mean, I think it's like, so you're basically, I guess it depends on how the law is written, right? And it's all going to depend on that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Newsom's going to puss out, or do you think he'll sign it? He has a month to decide.
I think he'll sign it because he wants to go nose to nose with Trump. There was a good article in the Washington Post last weekend saying that Newsom is trolling Trump, and Trump falls for it every single time. I tell you, this was risky on the part of Newsom, because if Newsom had, done what he's done and mimic Trump's irrational writing style with randomly capitalized letters and lots of exclamation points and ending his posts with sad exclamation point, if Trump had just ignored him, he would have marginalized him. But instead, Trump became infuriated and then attacked back, which then gave Newsom an opening to attack yet again.
I was very surprised that it worked.
Yeah, I was too, which then just proves again that Trump actually does his own social media.
Yeah, he does. Thank you very much for the generous donation over there on Rumble. $5.
Thank you.
Charismatic. Charismatic. I don't know how you pronounce that. I'll say charismatic. Why not?
Oh, he says Judge Napolitano had Professor Jeffrey Sachs on, and he said that there's no way the CIA and Pentagon didn't know about the Qatar attacks by Israel. British helped the Israelis. Is this? I hadn't heard that about refuelers. Wondering if they were Saudi refuelers. But I agree, there's no possible way that the Israelis could have done this without informing the United States, or even if they didn't inform the United States, the United States picking it up on radar, or in ELINT, people chatter and talk on walkie-talkies all the time. So yeah, I think that's probably right. And then Ryan Jude, thank you very much for the just dollars. Thank you both for making my ride home better every day. Man, see, that's exactly what I like to hear. Thank you for that. John, I've been a fan of yours since the first time you went on Danny Jones. Thank you. That was literally the fattest that I was ever in my life. Thank you for your service to our country and truth. Thank you very much, Ryan. Yeah. An American sweetheart. I know who you are. Do you want to be a tough guy? You chose the profession. Amen. Amen. These guys want to go out and crack it, but at the first sign of danger, so many of them just run for the hills. I've never understood. Never understood it. But it's true. What else are we looking at today, Ed?
Well, we could talk about Bolsonaro. The former president of Brazil has just been sentenced. I don't think he can get out of it to 27. This is the high court. 27 years in prison. So he's basically bye-bye.
That's a life sentence. Yeah. That's a life sentence.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, on the one hand, do we need to do, I'm being asked about the cat's name. Michael Gardner wants to know, his name is Clovis. I wish I could take credit for him. Clovis was the first king of France who brought Christendom to France. He was a pagan dude, and he wanted a Frankish pagan, and he wanted to marry a Christian lady, and she was like, "You're not going to get to tap this Christian ass unless you convert the entire country." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." Okay, I guess I'm going to have to keep talking there about Clovis. Hopefully we'll get John back. He just sort of disappeared, but I think it's probably one of those swipe things. So Clovis is a Russian blue for people who care about those things. I've had him since before the Russo-Ukrainian conflict began, and that was a kind of a funny period because there was even a move among people who hate Russians, especially and support Ukraine, to rename Russian blues officially Ukrainian blues in the same way that Russian dressing was going away. But none of this affected Clovis. He was completely fine. Anyway, but he's also as hypoallergenic as a cat can be, which is an important thing. My son and I both have asthma. So when we were looking for cats, I was looking for cats that are like that are hypoallergenic. It just means they're not completely 100% hypoallergenic. It just means here comes John. Let's bring him back in. It just means that they're there you are, John. I was talking about my cat.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was just sitting here looking at the screen and it just wiped me out. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone was saying, "Oh, they cost thousands of dollars." Yeah, no, I was shopping for this cat, and they were $2,400 to $2,500 each at the time. But I wanted one because I had done research and they're hypoallergenic, and I'm a little bit allergic to cats and I have asthma. So does my son. And so the hairless cat, which is called the Sphinx, is also hypoallergenic, but it's not the hair; it's the saliva. Cats have a genetic marker in their saliva. So basically that's it. Mr. Athenian says you got to buy a better camera or maybe steal my camera. My camera usually sucks. This is a role reversal for us. But I did some troubleshooting and whatever. We can talk about that. Anyway, Bolsonaro, part of me thinks it's great to have everyone equally accountable under the law. And then part of me also wonders, will people want to run for president of a country if they think this can happen to them? I mean, this happened to the president of France, was sent to prison for a few years. It just seems it's a little scary. And on the other hand, you shouldn't be able to just do whatever the fuck you want. And it's good that there's some accountability. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree completely. Do you remember, Ted, when Bolsonaro briefly moved to Miami after he lost the presidency, and people were posting pictures of him like at Safeway doing his grocery shopping and stuff. He just should have stayed in Miami. You know, Pervez Musharraf didn't keep trying to go back to Pakistan. He was briefly in Washington, then he ended up in Dubai. He saw the writing on the wall. Like, why in the world would Bolsonaro go back to Brazil? Like,
he's such an arrogant dude.
That's what it is.
I mean, it's the hubris. He thinks that he can get away. He's just like, I'm a badass. I can do whatever I want. Blah 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 blah. I should just finish my story. I did not pay $2,500 for the cat. Just saying. I ended up. Good. He kind of fell off a truck. I got him for $400. I'll just put it that way.
That's great. Oh my God!
I ended up buying him for it was like a drug deal in a Walmart parking lot barely in Rhode Island across the Connecticut line, and this lady pulls up next to me and she's like, "You got the money?" I'm like, "You got the cat?" She's like,
"Oh my God!" So that's how I'm gonna be with a Bichon Frise. I love those little teeny tiny dogs. I do.
Yeah, no, there are gray market pets out there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I did? I went to the ASPCA website and I signed up for these email notifications anytime a Bichon Frise comes up for adoption. So I get an email every 3 or 4 weeks. But it's always like a Bichon Frise that is 16 years old and has arthritis in all of its knees and is near death. And they just want like a doula to essentially escort the dog into its death. It's like, no, that's not what I want. I want one that's going to like jump up and down when I get home from work or something.
Yeah.
He's happy to.
I mean, I'm okay with adopting like an elder cat, like if a cat's 10 years old, I mean, hey, a cat's 10 years old, could live another 10 years, you don't know. But even if it only lived 4 or 5, that's okay. But no, I'm with you. If it's like at death's door. Also, when I was hunting for my Russian blue, it took a lot of times. It's like they'd say, "Oh, you have a hit. It's in Pennsylvania," and it's like, and I'd be like thinking. So I'd call and I'd be like, can I get I'll get in the car right now. It's like, I'm sorry, sir, but if someone walks in right now, our policy is we give it to them first. So. Which I understand their policy, right? They can't be like on hold and then I come and maybe I don't want it, right? They have to give them to the first taker. But, it's kind of like, am I really going to drive like 6 hours and maybe come up catless?
Right, exactly. Hey, somebody has a question. I feel like people.
I want the answer to this question.
So how did the truther come last night?
Yep. Let's hear it.
I was genuinely worried about this last night because there are a lot of crazy people out there. And after this chart thing, I don't know, it has me rattled a little bit. So I made a mistake yesterday. I was like so not into this that I didn't read the email very well. And it said that I was going to speak at 9:30. So at 8:45 yesterday morning, I get on my little Vespa and I putter into Washington and I go into the building. It's completely empty. So I find some guy there and I said, "Hey, where's the Truther conference?" And he said, "Oh, I think it's on Capitol Hill." I said, "No, it's not on Capitol Hill. It's here." So I call the organizer. Just goes to voicemail. Turned out he was sleeping, and it turned out my speech was at 9:30 p.m. So I had to, yeah, I know, right? And I set my alarm. Honest to God, I was so tired yesterday, I would have slept until 10. But I got up early at like 7:15, early for me. And so I went back home and did my thing, and we did the show, and then I went back. And so it was surprisingly packed. A couple of hundred people, which really surprised me. And it turned out I was the keynote speaker, which put that much more pressure on. So before me was Congressman Kurt Weldon, and then Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, and then Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Okay, all of them are former congressmen, so they can speak freely. And they can say stuff that they couldn't say when they were actually sitting members of Congress. But then they all sound nuts too. You know, I told a story to a guy I was standing next to waiting to go on. At first I said, I thought Dana Rohrabacher was in prison. And he said, oh, no, he got out of prison. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, when I was briefly the chief of counterintelligence for Alex Station before I went up to the 7th floor. And I get a call from Kurt Weldon's office saying, Congressman Weldon wants to come over. He has some information he wants to give you about 9/11. I said, oh, okay. Congressman's welcome to come and talk to us. He was the number 2 on the Armed Services Committee. So I tell my boss, hey, Kurt Weldon's going to come over. He's got some intelligence for us. And he's like, what? He's not welcome in this building. He's one of those truthers. We can't have him in here. So then I had to call back and say, listen, I'm sorry, but the congressman's not welcome in the CIA, as awful as that sounds. So in the intervening years, I've gotten to know him. He's actually not nutty. He's a nice guy. He has some weird positions on stuff, but he loves firemen. He used to be a fireman. The whole speech last night was about firemen. And then Dennis gets up. And, you know, thing about Dennis Kucinich, too, like every time I see him, he must have some kind of mental, because I say, hi, Dennis. And he's like, hello, thank you for your support. And I say, no, I'm John Kiriakou. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, my gosh, I didn't recognize you. Yeah, we've only met 25 times. So that's always weird. And then
he's not a talented politician.
He's not. He's not a natural politician.
He spoke at the Association of American Editorial Cartoonists, and I was on the board, so I sat at the speaker's table with him for dinner when he was with his tall wife, who he couldn't keep talking about how lucky he was to be so short while she was so tall. And
I looked up to her last night, and I'm 6'1".
Yeah, she is a tall lady, and you know, it was a good joke thing, but it was funny because he was literally so unfriendly to his dining companions, me included. I was like, I'm just not used to that. You and I have met a lot of politicians. You've probably met more than I have, but I've met quite a few, and they're all charming. You know, Orrin Hatch was charming. Orrin Hatch
was wonderful. You could disagree with him about everything. And at the end of the night, you know what a lovely guy he was.
I loved him. I don't like what he did to Anita Hill, but he was a great guy. And so, I mean, it was weird to me. Like, I was like, well, you know, Dennis, you probably wouldn't have lasted even if you hadn't been gerrymandered out of a job. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Well, he's on the schedule to introduce me. So it's 15 minutes. It says specifically 15 minutes remarks and introduction of John Kiriakou. He spoke for an hour and 10 minutes, like it was some kind of political speech. And he was screaming as if it was an outdoor political rally, screaming into the microphone. He was too close to the microphone, so all you could hear was.
It's not good.
I ended up just sitting down with the crowd, like, is he ever going to end 15 minutes? He goes for an hour and 10 minutes. So finally I get up, and I'll tell you what really made me mad is as I'm approaching the lectern, he and the other 2 congressmen walk out. And I was like, you assholes, I had to sit here through all your bullshit about firemen and about conspiracies and controlled demolitions and thermite paint. And I at one point, I was the only person not standing for the standing ovation for Weldon. Because like, no, I'm not standing for your controlled demolition thing. So finally, and I had prepared a speech because I didn't want to sound like an idiot. And I also didn't want to be rude. You and I talked about this before I did it. I disagree with these guys on 99% of their positions, but I didn't want to be rude. And so Dennis said so many wacky things, but focused on the Saudis and the Israelis. And I thought, aha, that's what I'm going to do. So I never delivered the speech that I wrote. I just went up there and I started winging it about the Saudis and the Israelis. And between the two of them, all criminals, and we need to stop pandering to them and getting on our knees in front of them when they mean us harm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the Israelis have started this lie, not started it, but they've reintroduced this lie that they haven't spied on the United States since Jonathan Pollard got caught. That is not true at all. They never stopped spying on the United States. And then I started yelling about the Saudis. Like, you know, the night that we caught up as a beta, or the day after we caught up as a beta, I'm in his hospital room, and the FBI guy says, "Hey, we found this diary, or it looks like a diary, but the only person who speaks Arabic is Ali Soufan, and he's busy with these prisoners." I said, "Oh, send it over here. I'll take a look at it." And that's when we saw the cell phone numbers of the 3 Saudi princes. And I said, when I got home from Pakistan, it was one of only 2 times I ever saw George Tenet lose his temper. There was a meeting with Prince Bandar, and George just blew a gasket and was screaming at Bandar that we are going to start killing people, a lot of people, and some of them are going to be named Al Saud. And the next thing you know, all 3 of the princes whose cell phone numbers were in Abu Zubaydah's diary died. One died on the operating table while having bariatric surgery. One died in a single car crash on the Riyadh to Jeddah highway. And one went camping in the desert and died of thirst. So it's like, well, either we kill them or the Saudis kill them. But the Saudis got to them before we did.
Yeah, it's kind of what they do, right? Like the Saudis, didn't the Saudis do the same thing to the people that they had killed Jamal Khashoggi, right? It was like, you know, we'll kill them. And they brought them back and made a big, put them on, had show trials. And it was like 1937 in Moscow all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I ended up not having to address these silly issues of thermite paint and controlled demolition. There's one asshole who came up to me. This is the 3rd time he's come up to me at events to start yelling about how he's right and I'm wrong, and the Jews put explosives in Building 7. I'm like, listen, I said, you say the same fucking thing every time we see each other. I don't like you. I don't agree with you. I think you sound like a crazy person, and I'm not wasting my time with you anymore. And he's like, the Jews blew up the USS Liberty. I said, fine, go celebrate the USS Liberty. And I walked away from him.
Oh my God.
I did. And this friend of mine was like, well, that was harsh. And I said, well, he fucked with me at Arlington Cemetery. Then he fucked with me the last time at the Kennedy Center. And now tonight he's going to come and fuck with me again. I've had it with this guy. I don't even know who this guy is, I said. He just corners me at every event. I'm not doing it anymore.
I mean, you're kind of required by law to be, you know, according to the 9/11 truthers, to believe everything they say if you're on the left and you don't believe and you don't trust the government. And you know, I mean, it's really annoying. Yeah. And I mean, you know, look, the burden of proof when you have an alternative narrative, that burden of proof is always on you. And that might be fair, or that might not be fair, but that's just how it is.
Yes.
And so, you know, it's not, and there's too many things that, like, I'm tired of answering these questions, like, oh, like, you know, they wired the building, it's a controlled demolition. I'm like, that's not even possible. And I can explain why the main reason is because you wouldn't be able to do that without having tons of exposed explosives and wiring all over the place in an office building that 58,000 people worked in every single day. And it would take months. I mean, think about all the work that goes into demolishing an old sports stadium that nobody works in, nobody gives a shit about. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to, but here you're demolishing a building right in the middle of a densely crowded lower Manhattan. I mean, the whole thing is absurd. Or it's like, oh, like, why did one part fall at a different rate? Like, it didn't. You know, it's just all sorts of stuff like that. And I mean, the thing was shocking, and I understand why people don't believe that it went down that way, but it mostly did, right? With possible questions. By the way, one interesting, I was talking a little bit about our question. We both had the question about how the engine was found 12 miles away from, United Flight 93's impact site in Shanksville. And I was talking to a friend about it, and they told me, actually they had a friend who said, it might have been the maneuvers that the hijackers made in the plane. They're inexperienced pilots, and if they took a turn really dramatically, without doing everything just right, having the flaps just right, the engine could literally have just come right off the plane, just because they were fucking around and they weren't good pilots.
Right, it would break off.
It would break off. Yeah.
I'll tell you another funny thing, Ted. These two morons got into it afterwards about the Pentagon. One is like, everybody knows, it's common knowledge that the Pentagon was hit by a missile. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going within 50 feet of that conversation. And the other one says, it was clearly not hit by a missile. You had 50,000 witnesses sitting in traffic who watched the plane go in. Like, no, that's not true. That's why there's no video footage. Well, there is video footage.
There is video footage.
Well, there is. You just pretend that there's not. And
there were plane parts were found at the scene.
Exactly. And then people are like, oh, and this idiot I was telling you about, he's like, well, you completely ignore the findings of Professor List. The hole in the Pentagon wasn't that big. I'm like, the Pentagon was made back when we used to build things properly, WPA concrete, reinforced a million different ways. It's built like a fucking brick shithouse. Exactly. And I said, listen, I never heard of Professor List. I don't give a shit who Professor List is. I'm not going to debate this with you because I don't respect you. And that was the last thing I said to him. He just walked away. It's like, no, I'm done with these people. Do you think you'll be invited back? I got the nicest thank you note from them today in an email. Good. And yeah, that I talked about exactly what they would have been interested in. And yeah, thank you. Frasmataz, you are right. It's just like the flat earthers. It's best not to engage. Absolutely. Oh my God. I saw one of these flat earther posts on Facebook the other day where they had the map of the world. And this guy posted, why would Putin agree to meet Trump in Alaska when Washington is the halfway point between Moscow and Anchorage? And he has this, gigantic, like it's 20,000 miles from Moscow to Alaska. It's like, you idiot. It's because the Earth's not flat, you idiot. Which, by the way, anyone can tell if they've ever been in a plane and looked out the window. Exactly. Just by looking at it. Hey, Michael Veloff, the birds aren't real thing. I love that. Enjoyed that. It was so much fun. Oh my God. So awesome. Yeah, I mean, the problem is actually people who believe these things. I mean, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, well, you just have to say, okay, well, good for you, and then walk away. Walk away backwards, slowly. Ever so slowly. Oh, I hope I get pardoned so I can buy a gun, protect myself. I love this. DeCliso, too, said, if the earth was really flat, cats would have pushed everything off by now. That's true. He's like, that's true. Oh, man. It's so true. Great. Well, yeah, John, are you deprogrammed? I'm deprogrammed. I'd like to go to sleep, but I have to go to dinner. No, I hear that. All right. Well, let's do the let's do the housekeeping. Oh, let's see if there's an ad. No, there's no ad. Okay, so we did our duty. Thanks everyone for tuning in. You've been watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. We're here Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern time.
the birds are real, and there are not as many of them as there should be. So, write to your congressman or something, or feed them. Anyway, have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. John, always a pleasure. Try to get some sleep.
Pleasure.
Order
Thanks for the week, everybody.
order that cable. See you later.